All right, so get out your note packets. Let's put this elevation and depression stuff to work here. Uh, this is just like what we saw in the previous video. We just need to identify, is it elevation or depression? So for question number 1, actually, why don't you go ahead and pause the video, you fill this out on your own, and then we'll come back through and do the answers and see if you got them right. Okay, go ahead and pause it and do that. All right, welcome back. So, since the angle is down where the dude is, and the dude's looking up at the plane, because the line is formed with the horizontal, remember, elevation and depression is always formed with the horizontal line, never the vertical. So because the dude's looking up at the plane, that is elevation. Question number 2, the dude's looking down at the boat, so because he's looking down, that's depression. Question number 3, angle 3 is at the top of the building and the dude's looking down at the other dude. So, since he's looking down, that would be depression. And number 4, the dude at the bottom's looking at the dude at the top, so because he's looking up, that's elevation. And then angle 1, that's the lighthouse looking up at the bird, so looking up is elevation. Angle 2, that's the bird looking down at the lighthouse, that's depression. Angle 3 is the lighthouse looking down at the boat, so that is depression. And angle 4 is the boat looking up at the lighthouse, so elevation. So now let's go ahead and put some story problems to use using angle of elevation and depression. Now for each of these story problems, I'm going to encourage you to draw a picture. Now because there's not much room here, I went ahead and got a separate sheet of paper and drew the pictures, but still the same problems, just now we've got pictures. So, question number 9, when the angle of elevation to the sun is 52 degrees, a tree casts a shadow that is 9 meters long. What is the height of the tree? So, I drew a picture of the sun, I got the tree, and then the angle from the sun to the top of the tree, and it created a shadow over here. So once I've got that picture, let's go ahead and put the information into the picture. It says the angle of elevation to the sun is 52 degrees. So you got the question, do I put the angle here or do I put it up here by the top of the tree? Well, the angle down here is formed by the dotted line and the horizontal ground. The angle up here is formed by the dotted line and the vertical tree. Always go with the horizontal, never go with the vertical. So that means that this angle is 52 degrees. It says the tree casts a shadow that is 9 meters long. So I'm going to put a label of 9 at the shadow. And we want to figure out how long or how tall the tree is. So that's our variable. So as we can see, we've got this triangle now, where 52 is the angle, x is the opposite, and 9 is the adjacent. So opposite and adjacent, that is OA TOA. So we're going to be dealing with tangent. So the first thing I want to do is set up the equation. So tangent of the angle equals opposite over adjacent. So opposite is x over adjacent, which is 9. Okay, so step 1 is draw the picture, put all the information in. Step 2 is to make the equation based off of that picture. And then step 3 is to solve it. So my variables in the numerator, I'm going to multiply by 9 on both sides in order to get x all by itself. So 9 times the tangent of 52. And so that's where my handy dandy calculator comes into play. So 9 times the tangent of 52, 11.5. Just say round to the nearest tenth of a meter. So yeah, 11.5. So once we get the picture drawn and the information put into the triangle, it's really no different than what we've been doing previously with trig. So there we go. Final answer, that tree is 11.5 meters tall. Let's move on to question number 10. A person snorkeling sees a turtle on the ocean floor at an angle of depression of 38 degrees. She is 14 feet from the ocean floor. How far from the turtle is she? Round to the nearest foot. So we've got our ugly picture of a snorkeler up here, and then the turtle down here. I kind of like the picture of the turtle. Let's put all that information in there. She is 14 feet above the ocean floor. The angle of depression is 38 degrees. So some people will look at this and say, okay, so she's looking down at the turtle, so the angle of depression, that 38 degrees, that's going to be right here. What is it, 38 degrees? So some people will put it right there and say because she's looking down at the turtle, that's where the angle has to be. But notice when I put that angle there, that angle is formed by the dotted line and the vertical distance to the floor. You never want to put it with the vertical, always with the horizontal. So that 38 really needs to be down there. And you're like, whoa, how is that make any sense? Because it's angle of depression. That 38 is looking up. If it helps, we can create a different triangle. If we want, we can draw the triangle up instead of down. In which case, we can go ahead and do the same thing. Put that 38 right there. And now it makes sense that that 38 is looking down. Now that 14, that can be moved over here. And so the red triangle and the black triangle are really actually the exact same size. So it doesn't matter whether you make the triangle kind of up in the air or down on the ground. Okay? So it's asking for how far from the turtle is she? So that's going to be our variable. That dotted line is our variable. So now that we've got all the information in the triangle, let's go ahead and make our equation. So the 38 is the angle, 14 is the opposite, x is the hypotenuse. So opposite and hypotenuse, that's sine. So sine of the angle equals opposite over hypotenuse. So 14 over x. Now hang on a second here. I see that variable in the denominator. That's my clue to do the switcheroo. So I'm going to have the sine of 38 and the x change places. So the 14 stays in the numerator. So now I've got x by itself. 14 divided by sine of 38. So I'm going to grab my calculator and do 14 divided by sine of 38. And I get 22.73. Round to the nearest foot, that's going to be 23 feet. Final answer. That's how far the snorkeler is from the turtle. Next question. We got Jared and his friend. His friend's up climbing on the rock wall. Jared's down here looking at him. Says Jared is 12 feet from the rock climbing wall. We can go ahead and put that in there. When he looks up and sees his friend ascend the wall, an angle of elevation of 56. And how high up the wall is his friend? So that's what we're looking for, is that vertical distance. So now that we've got everything in the picture, the angle is 56, x is the opposite, 12 is the adjacent. Opposite and adjacent makes tangent. So tangent of the angle, so tangent of 56 equals opposite over adjacent. So opposite is x, adjacent is 12. There's our equation. Tangent of 56 equals x over 12. X is in the numerator, so I just multiply by the 12. I don't do the switcheroo. So 12 times tangent of 56 equals x. Plug that in. 12 times tangent 56. And I get 17.79. Round to the nearest foot would be 18 feet. Final answer. One more example to go. Maria is looking out a 17-foot high window and sees two deer. The angle of depression to the deer is 26 degrees. What is the horizontal distance from Maria to the deer? So we can go ahead and label some things here. The window is 17 feet high. The angle of depression is 26 degrees. So when I put this 26 in there, I could put it up here with the vertical, but that'd be wrong. I got to put it down here with the horizontal. And then what is the horizontal distance? That's our variable. Now, if instead of keeping with this triangle, if you wanted to put the triangle up in the air, if that made more sense to you, that'd be fine. The x would be up here. The 17 would be over here by the deer. And that 26 would be over by Maria. So now that we've got our triangle, 26 is the angle. That makes 17 the opposite and x the adjacent. So opposite over adjacent is tangent. So tangent of 26 equals opposite over adjacent, so 17 over x. Variables in the denominator. That's our clue to do the switcheroo. So the 17 is going to stay where it is. The tangent of 26 and the x are going to flip-flop places. So I will put x equals 17 stays on top over tangent of 26. And that's what I type in my calculator. 17 divided by the tangent of 26. And it says round to the nearest foot. So I get 34.85. That rounds to 35 feet. So angle of elevation and depression isn't really all that different from what we did with just basic trig. It's just applying it to real world situations. Because I'm sure all of us have been in a situation where Maria is looking out a window and seeing two deer. All right, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Hope you're doing well. Have a good one.